My name is Rob Harrell, and I took my name tag off, so I just wanted to reintroduce myself. I am so glad that you're here. Welcome to the Harrell home. We've lived here since 1989, and been in the city since '86. And I've been to, this would be my 13th or 14th trip to Israel. And I want to tell you, this is the largest group I've ever had. I can't believe it. And I'm just going to say, some of you have been to Israel. How many of you have been to Israel? Okay. How many have been to Israel more than a couple days? Like some of you just were there and out. I know that. This is the trip of a lifetime. And because it's such a wonderful trip, that's why I've been so many times. There's always something new. And if you can use this term even with Christian conversation, it's magic there. It's God magic, as it were. There's going to be moments and places where you can't explain what God is doing in your heart. But you're walking where Jesus walked. I mean, there'll be some places where I say to you, without a doubt, the Son of God, the incarnate, second member of the Trinity, walked right here. Without a doubt. We know it. We know this one. Other places I'll teach you and say, he walked right here, and you go, really? I go, no, I'm just joking. But something's going to strike you. I mean, something's going to happen it's going to be life-changing for you. And the other part is doing it with your friends like this. And some of you have just met for the very first time. In fact, most of you. You will always be lifelong friends after this trip because you share this incredible experience together. It's not like anything else you'll ever do. So anyways, I wanted to read to you, just as we start tonight, I sent the lady who runs the tour group, Lindy. You'll meet her. She's from South Africa. I sent her this email because I thought it was so descriptive of what we're about to do. I said, great to hear from you, Lindy. Yes, you will be so happy to hear that we have 42 folks coming. It's the largest group ever. It's really kind of wonderful how it's all worked out, including Kathy and myself and my assistant and her husband. We have 17 folks in full-time ministry, including pastors, missionaries, prison ministry directors, Austin Disaster Relief Network director, a church operations director, domestic missionaries, and an international evangelist. That's who's going. Of the remaining 25, we have elders, EFCA board members, a board member from Solid Pastors Ministry, and their spouses. And by the way, looking in tonight is my good friend Leah Mason. Leah, say hi to everybody. She's waving. She's waving. 6 members of her family, including herself, are going with us. It's pretty cool. What was most encouraging is that many of the folks who could pay full price also gave scholarships to ministry leaders who could not afford even the discounted price. I mean, you all are making it possible for one family to go who virtually has nothing. And I can't tell you how big a deal that is to me. I think you're going to love this group, Lindy. I can see myself doing this more frequently as there is a considerable waiting list of those who couldn't go this time but wanted to do so in the future. So, love you, Lindy. Lots of excitement here. See you in January. And I love her response. She's short on words usually. She says, hi, Rob. Wow. Sounds great. Many thanks. Appreciate you. Warm regards, Lindy. And so there you go. I wanted you to hear that because that is that's what you're embarking on. This is really a unique trip. Kathy and I are delighted that we're going with you. It's just going to be so much fun. And so here's what I want to do tonight. I'm going to tell you where we're headed. I want to really quickly just kind of give you an overview of some things. I know there's lots of questions have been asked and that sort of thing. And so tonight, I'm going to share a few things. I've got my map up here of Israel. I want you to, we'll look at that in just a minute. But also then after I speak a few moments, my good friend Julie Druin is going to come up and talk a little bit about the insurance. It's really a good thing to have, just to protect yourself. We've had to use it a couple times, and it's really remarkable to have that coverage. And then my assistant Becky and her husband John. John's doing the filming. We're filming this tonight not because we think we should be on TV or anything, but there are people that we want to share this with. The other folks that couldn't be here tonight, they're going to have a chance. Leah's seeing it live, but they'll be able to go on Facebook page and see what we talked about tonight and answer a lot of questions for them. So that's why we usually don't set lights up in our house like this. But here's what I got for you. I want to show you something, and I'm going to give you this. If we could just pass this out, go both ways here. Let me hold on to this thing here. But yeah, go that way and that way. Let me show you as the two fellas, as Matt and Paul Ojeda. By the way, here are two of the pastors right here. Bishop Paul Ojeda and his wife Lillian are here. Paul pastors Austin Powerhouse. Matt pastors Calvary Worship Center. Where are my other pastors? Where are my other pastors here in the room? Travis Gray pastors the Bible Church at Bee Cave. So you'll meet all these folks a little bit later on. But let me show you this. Before you look at that, and this is what always happens. I just made a mistake giving it to you, but I've got 20 copies of what I just gave you. So if you're a couple, if you would, just look on with each other. But this is what I'm going to give to you via electronic copy. And it's because it's 26 pages. And what I did tonight, I gave you the first 7 pages of this book, okay? And we're going to go over this in just a minute because it's going to answer a ton of questions for you. But if you would, open it up and let's see, is there one extra one somewhere? Or I'll just use this. Okay, I'll give this back to you. If you look at this this deal, you're seeing the table of contents. When you get this in the mail, you'll get everything that's in here. Right now, you're just getting the last thing you're getting is tips for travelers. Okay, that's how far this thing goes. But then later, I'll send you all the detail of all these different places. But here's what I want you to look at. I want to give you an overview of how we're going to do Israel. So there's actually going to be 2 groups going at 2 different times, like about 6 hours in between. One group is going to leave. If you just turn over a couple pages, you'll see it. I put the flights in the deal. One group is going to leave Austin at about 6 in the morning, 6:40, and get to Newark at 11:28, and then leave Newark at 4:20 and arrive in Israel the next day at 9:35. The second group, and I think if we were doing this and had enough seats, I mean, this is amazing. We had so many people going, we had to do 2 flights. That's what happened. So the second group actually is going to leave at, let's see here, 4:11 to Newark, get there at 8:49, and then from Newark, fly over and arrive the next day, February 1st, at 4:20. So you can see the first group gets there at 9:35. That group gets to tour Tel Aviv just a little bit before the other group gets there. But those folks are going to be so tired because they got up at 6 o'clock. That's the downside. The other group isn't going to get the little Tel Aviv tour, but we're all going to Joppa together. You know what Joppa is? That's where, Jonah ran from the Lord. It's where Simon the Tanner had a house. It's where the revelation came to Peter to go up to Caesarea by the sea and go witness to Cornelius, and the gospel came to the Gentiles. That's Joppa. Okay? So we're all going to see that. And then what we're going to do is from Tel Aviv, we're going to travel up the coast just south of Netanya, or maybe in Netanya. Our first night then, staying in the same hotel together, is going to be right by Netanya. We get up early the next morning, and we go to Caesarea by the sea, which is unbelievable. It's one of the most incredible Roman fortresses. Herod was there. He's got a temple there. Paul was in prison there. It's where he left from there and went to Rome to be tried. So then we'll go from there, and this is now, if you go back to your itinerary, we'll make our way, and I think I can do it without looking at this so I can talk more readily. We'll make our way up along the side of the coast. We'll go to Mount Carmel, where Elijah took on the prophets of Baal. We'll go towards Megiddo and be looking over the valley of Armageddon, where the last great battle will be staged. We will go across the Jezreel Valley over to Nazareth. Not much to see in the town of Nazareth, but we'll go to the cliff where it's believed they took Jesus to throw him off when they rejected him. And we'll fundamentally end the day by descending into the Sea of Galilee area. We'll come down, look over the Sea of Galilee, Magdala, Capernaum, Tiberias, the lake, Gennesaret, Sea of Galilee, and that's where we'll spend the next couple of days. We'll get up the next morning, get on the boat, have a fun time on the boat. We'll imagine Jesus walking on the water, and we're not going to ask anybody to try it. We're not going to test your faith, we promise. But I'm just telling you, going out on that boat like that, and it's amazing. Have a little time with the Lord and hear some stories about that deal. That day, and you can see it, we'll be going to Mount of Beatitudes. We'll be going to Capernaum. It's called the town of Jesus. It's where Peter grew up with his brothers. It's where Jesus called him and his brothers to follow him. We'll go to this place called Tabgha, which is the feeding of the 5,000. If we can fit it in, we'll go to Chorazim, one of the cities that Jesus said, because you rejected me, you're going to pay a price for this. The ruins are incredible there. And then if we can fit this into, and I just always love going to this place, we'll go to the place where Jesus crossed the Sea of Galilee, got off the boat, and the naked man possessed by demon legion, right? Who confronts the Son of God and the pigs and all that story, right? You won't believe this. There is a cave with tombs above the church where they commemorate where Jesus met this guy, and there's only one place on the Sea of Galilee where there's a cliff. And that's where it happened. That's one of those places you go, whoa. And the next day, we're going to head further north. We're going to be looking into Syria, actually. Last time we were there, we saw some gunfire and stuff. It was kind of crazy. We'll go to Caesarea Philippi, where the god Banias was worshipped. And Jesus said, who do people say that I am, right? And Peter says, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. We'll go to that place. We'll then go to Tel Dan. Remember Jeroboam, after his dad Solomon dies, Rehoboam, divided kingdom. And what does Jeroboam do? He didn't like to worship in Jerusalem, so he erects 2 golden calves, right? One in Dan and one in Bethel. That's what happened. And we're going to see the place where that golden calf was in the north. Dan is an incredible place, beautiful. It's kind of like Barton Creek. It's so pretty. And then we'll make our way down, and probably that will be the night that if you want to be baptized, there's a lot of preachers on this trip. We can pull this off, but I'm happy to do them all. If we need to, we'll do whatever you want to. And Let me just tell you this. I was baptized when I was 12, became a Christian when I was 15, and all my life as a pastor, I struggled with whether I was baptized after believing in Jesus. And so I'm with my buddy Steve Fobby, and we're baptizing all these people, and even these people we don't know are paying us money to baptize them. It was crazy. I mean, it's a racket, actually. And and I'm baptizing all these people, and I thought, Lord, I don't think I was baptized upon my profession of faith. And I turned to my buddy Steve and said, would you baptize me? And I settled the issue in the Jordan River. So maybe for some people, that's what you need to do, settle the issue, right? Yeah. Huh? $200. For you $1. And here's the other thing. If you have been baptized, it's also sometimes kind of a neat thing to rededicate your life. And I know the Bible says one baptism, I know that. But it's something you'll never forget. You'll never forget it. It's going to be cold, though, I'm just going to tell you. Okay, and then so now we finish up in Galilee, and now we make our way. So here's what we've done. We've gone from Tel Aviv up past Netanya. We've taken this road across to the Sea of Galilee. We do all these things around Galilee. And then we go all the way up. We will actually be looking into Lebanon and into Syria. We can see both countries. And then we'll make our way back. We'll see where the Israelis defeated the Syrians, in 67, 73. Come back. And then we'll spend the night. Then we'll make our way, after baptizing the Jordan, spend the night, and make our way down we come. And we go to Bet Shan, which is one of the most incredible cities of the Decapolis that you'll ever see. Then we'll continue on down. We'll make our way all the way to the Dead Sea, where we'll spend the night there, float in the Dead Sea, that whole thing. And next day we'll get up and we'll go by Jericho, by the way, and that sort of thing. But then we'll the next day go to Masada. And if you want to study something cool, read about Masada. It's really a neat place. On our way back, we'll be down here a night. We'll come back, and we will go up to Jerusalem. It's kind of funny. If you were coming from this way to Jerusalem, you would be going up to Jerusalem. You go up to Jerusalem. You go up to Jerusalem. You go up to Jerusalem. Why? Because it's on a spine. It's a plateau. Everybody went from all points in Israel to Jerusalem. And then we'll be there 3 days in Jerusalem. Now, I'm going to just say this to you. Day 8, day 9, day 9. You see that right there? I got 2 day 9s. What happens in Jerusalem is, as best we can put it on an itinerary sheet, is what we try to do. But in Jerusalem, things change so much. And we're going to just be so dead tired. And we'll probably get up and be going at 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe 7 one morning to get in line to go on the Temple Mount, because you do not want to miss the Temple Mount. That's where Abraham went to sacrifice Isaac. It's where some traditions believe Adam and Eve actually came, which I don't think is true. But it's also where David bought the threshing floor, and his son Solomon built the temple. It's the present-day site of the Dome of the Rock. And the Muslims say they own it, but the Israelis control it. And you'll see the clash of modern-day tension on the Temple Mount. In fact, the last time I went was the first time I saw Jews actually visiting the Temple Mount. First time ever. It's Christians usually, and Muslims go there to pray. So that take with a grain of salt. Don't get your hopes up. I mean, you haven't seen it yet, so hopefully you won't know what it is. And that's the danger of giving an itinerary. I mean, we're going to do our best to see as much as we need to see. We're just going to go for it. So we'll end our time as a group together at the Garden Tomb. So there'll be one group coming back, not staying for the Petra extension, and the Petra folks will move on to Jordan. They'll spend the night in Jerusalem, and make their way across the Allenby Bridge, go up to Mount Nebo, travel across Jordan. We'll have a tour of Jordan and some interesting places, and then spend a full day in Petra. We'll get to Petra, spend the night, get up the next morning, and have the whole day in Petra. Spend the night, a second night in Petra, and then come back the next day. I can't even tell you, in fact, I even hazard to do so, but that last night, being together at the Garden Tomb, where you see what your heart tells you is Golgotha, even though maybe it's not the place, but you sense that it is. There's an empty tomb there, and we'll visit that tomb, and then we'll have communion. We'll hear the gospel. One year, I'll just say, I took a man married to a real close friend who she loves the Lord deeply. This guy, great guy, but he's been unsure of Jesus. The Holy Spirit did something in his heart. I mean, it was unbelievable. That was 2 trips ago. Last trip, same thing happened. The friends of the Druins, the Holy Spirit got a hold of a man that just kept pushing back, or just more, not against, but just indifferent. And that man, I think, I'm almost certain, has become a believer in the Lord. And it's going to do something to you. I mean, when you think you are standing possibly in the place where they took his body off the cross and placed it in the tomb, and that tomb is empty. And you get to walk in that tomb. And he's not there. He's risen, right? And that's how we'll end our Israel portion of the trip. So that's the itinerary. Any questions about that? You're just going to have to trust us every day when we get up and say, here's what we're going to try to do today. But we're going to do our very best to see it all. And let me just say this. This is important to say. This is a trip like none other you've ever taken, in that we're going to get up as early as we can, have our breakfast, be on the bus, and we're just going to go. Because you don't want to go to Israel and miss anything. You just want to see as much as you can. We'll always be tender-hearted. Like, there'll be places where we'll say, hey, y'all, some of us are gonna walk up to this spring in En-Gedi. Maybe some of you want to just stay here and not go all the way up. And that's cool. No problem at all. We do that often. Some of you might want to stay on the bus at a certain site. You're just exhausted. You don't want to do it. So we're always sensitive to each other. But for those that can, we'll be, our hiking shoes, and off we go, and seeing how much we can see. Now, the second thing, I want to look at our time here. When Becky's been putting some questions she's hearing from people, there's a big list, but this sheet here, if you look at it now, called Tips for Travelers, really answers most of your questions as far as what you need to think about. And if I could, let me just, I'll zip through this, because I think it's important just to see. Don't take valuables. No need to take your nice ring and just no need. Secondly, 1 suitcase per person. Now, Kathy and I typically, now we've been going for so long, we try to pack a suitcase that fits on the overhead compartment, and you really can. It's not that hard. Just think economically. Like, I often take pants that have zippered shorts, where I could zip them down if I needed to, and you can put them back on if we're going to a holy site, and take them off if we're climbing Masada. Be economical. I think that's wisdom. Now, some of you are going to buy something there, and you might want a little bit bigger suitcase to put stuff in, but most things you can ship home. If you buy a manger scene, for example, they ship it for you, and they do a real good job. Dress will be casual, be comfortable and modest. It's February, so you need to layer. In Jerusalem, it's probably going to be 50, 60 degrees maybe. When we get up in the mornings, it warms up at night. You're going to be in the lowest part of the earth, in the Dead Sea Valley, Jordan Valley. And it gets warmer there, 70 degrees in February. It's going to be perfect. So read the rest of that on your own. Now, in the evening, women may want to bring something more dressier. That's up to you. We're staying at some pretty cool places. Guys, don't bring a sports coat, ever. You don't need that. Wear comfortable, non-skid shoes. Hiking, not boots necessarily, but something that's comfortable with treads on the bottom. There's so many rocks there. There's rocks everywhere. And it's easy to twist your ankle, if you're not watching. So the next thing here, you need sunscreen, you're on the lowest part of the planet. Now, electrical, you can read that. You have to have an adapter in most places to charge your phones and all that sort of thing. And there's the instructions about that. This is important. Do not pack your passport or airline ticket in your suitcase. In fact, when we're traveling, you need your passport all the time. That's just really important. We won't need them when we go out touring, but when we're traveling, when we're going to Jordan, for example, you got to have them. When we're flying to the airport, you got to have them. Usually what happens is this: when we get to Tel Aviv, and when we leave Tel Aviv, they'll pick one of you, and they will say, "I got a few questions for you." And where did you go? Did you get any packages from anybody? And then after they've done that, said to the bishop here, they come to me as a leader and say, "We want to ask you some questions." And they ask me the same questions they asked the bishop. So he's got to get it right. I'm just saying. But it's kind of a joke. It's so funny. It's almost always they ask the person that you're going, "Oh, please, not that one, not that one." But they do anyways. But you'll feel really safe. The Israelis love Americans. And frankly, the Palestinians don't want to do us harm. It's bad for their economy. Next, for the air and bus travel, only one carry-on per person. So in other words, we have our little suitcase put up top, but I have a backpack I always have with me. So those two things are great. And every day when we go out, you don't take your suitcase with you unless we're going from one location to another. You just take your little backpack out. That's it. Let's see here. Keep all medications. That's a stool or a cushion. If you need a little something to sit down on, most places where we go, we sit down on something already. I think it's a hassle to take a stool, honestly. So really think that through. Unless you got one of those golf little tripod things, those are kind of cool. And let me say something about that as well. Kathy and I, and many of you, travel a lot internationally. I've got one of those pillows that go around your neck, use those cushion things. Those are so cool. And that will really help you sleep on the plane. And everybody here, hear this, you need to sleep on the plane. I know you're going to be like me, tempted to watch all the movies you haven't seen yet, but it's imperative that you sleep on the plane so you get up the next morning, you're ready to go, okay? Let's see here. Shopping, you can speak English. In fact, everybody speaks English. And, there's always this thing, what will you give me for this? How much can I give it to you for? It's always negotiating. So never pay the original price, ever. Let's see here. Verify prices before you leave, especially on jewelry or high dollar things, so that you are truly getting a deal. Be careful of that. American dollars are fine. And what's really good to have are a bunch of $1 bills. The water in the bus is $1. Little things that kids are selling is $1. Ice creams they used to be $1, now they're $2. But it's great to have lots of $1 bills. Okay. Your credit card works, but I would encourage you to make sure you talk to your credit card people just to tell them you'll be in Israel so they don't shut your card down. Water, we have water, cold water on the bus in a refrigerator at the front of the bus. For $1, you just pick it up and you get a bottle of water. A Bible is great, and I'm going to tell you this, what I'm doing these days, my phone is my Bible. It's just so much easier than a big old Bible that you're carrying. If you have a thin Bible, that's great, but if you don't have a Bible app, I'll help you with that. YouVersion is really good. And the bus has Wi-Fi, so that's good. Let's see here. Laundry, okay, if you must. And then traveling with the group, remember, we're a group, and we love each other. And one year, I had a guy who's an adventurer guy who, when we were in Eilat, we're not going to Eilat in this group, but when we were in Eilat, he went to Egypt. He crossed over the border to Egypt. And my guide almost killed him. I almost killed him. I mean, if something had happened to him, I mean, he was just an adventurer. And you just can't, you don't want to do stuff like that. So we're a group, and what you'll find happening is this unique bond of caring for each other will just, it'll be so cool. You'll just love to see what happens with that. Weather, I told you about that. It is the rainy season, but I recall it not raining very much. But if you need an umbrella or like something like one little layer that would keep the rain out, that'd be fine. Okay, couple things here. This is really important, and we're almost done with this part. Do not, under any circumstances, take any mail or packages to hand deliver or to mail anyone when you get to Israel. That is so huge there. And I made a mistake one time. I mean, it was like maybe on my second trip, I don't know, but I come through the security, and you'll notice how young the security people are. And for the most part, they're nice. They're very nice, but they are serious. They don't have terrorist deals in Israel. And as far as like bombs anymore, they are so screwed down tight. And 2 trips ago when I went there, there was that outbreak of stabbing. Do you remember that? Let me tell you what the truth is of that. It was against the Israelis. It was against Jews. And if you tried to stab a Jew, that was the last thing you'd ever do. There was no mercy. They'd take you out. So there's zero tolerance for stuff like this. So anyways, we're coming through security, and the young lady says, "Sir, has anyone given you anything as you're coming into our country? We just want to be careful." And I said, "No, not at all." And she goes, "Well, what's this?" And it was the little Star of David keychain that Lindy had given our group. And she says, "This is a lesson for you." She goes, "You think about things before you answer me next time." I went, "Oh, okay, sorry." And I felt terrible, but you have to be that aware of things. They're just very careful that way, especially in the airports, okay? Security is very tight. You are going to be very, very safe. Every group gets a intelligence briefing every morning. All the group leaders know if anything has happened in the country. Everybody knows. And there are certain places you just can't go. Unfortunately, I've never been to Hebron yet, where Abraham's buried. I'd love to go, but you can't go. Hopefully we'll get to go to Bethlehem, but sometimes you can't. So we'll just see. Carry a copy of your passport. Actually, what we might do is have Becky have a copy of your passport. We just have it in one place. Okay, we'll probably do that. And then, let's see, customs. You know about that. You guys have done that before. It's real simple. Nothing to be afraid of. They'll hand you a little sheet. You fill it in. Anybody have global entry here? Yeah, global entry is like the best thing in the world. I don't know if you can get it between now and then. It's hard to, but global entry, you just come and you put your passport in this kiosk and whoop, it prints it out and you're through. The only bummer is when you travel with people that don't have it, you got to wait on them anyway. So So there you go. Any questions about what I've gone over? I hope that's helpful. Stuart.
How long is the flight from Newark to Tel Aviv? How many hours in the plane?
I think it's like 9 hours, something like 10 hours. Is that right? Does that seem right? I think that's right. It's not terrible.
Becky told me it's 3 hours.
Oh, who did? Becky?
And she,
Oh, okay. Any questions you guys have about anything? Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, so when you were talking about the last days and having communion together,
Yeah,
is that before or after the Petra extension?
it's before.
Before.
So the garden tomb is the last thing we all do together.
Got it.
One group goes to the airport, the other group goes on their way to Petra.
Got it.
Yeah.
When do you make that? When do we make that selection, or did we already when we registered, or no?
Becky, can people still go to Petra?
I would have to verify with
Okay. Okay.
but I think if anybody wants to make any flight adjustments, business class, anything like that, now is the time to speak up.
Yeah, so what's going to happen? So Petra is $1,000 per person more, which is, I think, a bargain. It's kind of cool because that's 2 nights there and all the transportation and the food. Here's one of the challenges we have, and we haven't figured this out completely. I've never had 2 groups going on 2 different planes. So trying to decide who goes on which flight. Some people have to go on the first flight because they're coming, like Leah, or actually they're going on the late flight because they're coming from Fargo, North Dakota. We got some folks from Fargo, from Houston, from Dallas, from St. Louis. They're going to meet us in Newark. So here's what I was. I'll just say this. I'm thinking out loud. Nothing's in stone. I was thinking if the pastor guys and their spouses wanted to go on the earlier flight to get a little extra more of Tel Aviv and stuff, especially if you guys are thinking about taking other groups in the future, that might be a starting point. And then the other starting point is for people like Leah and her family. They wouldn't be there in time to catch the early flight, so we're going to assign them. The question I have is, does it in speaking with Becky, if it doesn't matter, that'd be cool, and she could just work it out. Or if there's some people who say, I really want to get there, I want to see the Tel Aviv little part more. I prefer to go honestly, I prefer to go at midnight at the 11 o'clock flight because you really more naturally sleep through the night. So, but I'm actually, here's the way we're thinking. I'm going to go first and return last. So I'll be with you guys the whole time. And then from there, we're going to figure the rest. Kathy's going to go on the second group. So she'll be there with you guys in that second group. So, Becky.
Who was it that asked the question about Petra?
Daniel, yeah.
Actually, I have you signed up for
Oh,
Petra.
So
Are you going?
If you don't want to go, we can tell you now.
yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
In front of all these people.
Yeah.
Duke, did you have a question? Okay. Who? Yes.
When are we going to get the email that has the rest of the book?
So I could send that. Becky could send that first of next week. It's done. It's finished. Yeah. Now that you made me think about another question real quick. So here's what I have up here, and this is just for you to have fun with tonight. A chronology of Israel. That's kind of a cool book. Israel, it's like a picture book. I love picture books. It describes my intelligence. And then an atlas of the Holy Land. So before you leave, take a peek at those. And then also, this is the weirdest thing. So you must have this. It's $7. It's a great $7. It's called the Christian Traveler's Guide to the Holy Land. And written by a friend of mine, Charlie Dyer and Greg Hattiberg from DTS. And what it is, it just every little place in Israel that we would think about visiting, there's a summary about that, and it's got a location in the Bible. This is fantastic. This is the weird part. We tried to order the books for you guys. It would let us only order 4 at a time. It was the weirdest thing. And Kathy said, well, we can go on every day, but we just decided to give away these 3. Who wants one of these? I'll give it to you for free. Pablo, I'll give you one. And should I give you one too? All right. Who wants the 3rd one? Okay. Who wanted it? Matt?
Did you raise your hand?
No, you did before I did.
Oh, there you go. So there you go. You're welcome. And that's a great book. Yeah.
Is that listed on the last page?
Yeah, well, so I got to make sure. I don't think I had Charlie Dyer on there, of all things, on that last page. But I will add it for sure. Yeah.
So where did you order them from that they don't relate?
Amazon. Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, Amazon. Was it Amazon Prime, honey, or what was that? Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. It's really worth it. It's a great book. Other questions real quick before I bring Julie. Yeah.
Are we all on the same bus? Is it one bus?
Yeah, so it's really funny how this works. Whether there's 12 people or whether there's 50 people, they always get these massive buses. And they're very comfortable. The drivers are incredibly skilled. I mean, you're going, there's no way we're going to make this turn. And they're amazing. So we'll all be together. And here's how a day would be. We get up in the morning, run down to breakfast, get a quick breakfast. You'll stuff your pockets with some bread for the day. And Mediterranean. And it's kind of, yeah, and it's kind of the same every day. But so we'll get up, we'll get on the bus, we'll go brush our teeth, get on the bus, and as we're driving to our place, we'll do a little devotional, get us in the Word, get us right centered, and maybe a prayer, and then we're off to see our deals. And and like I say, some nights when we're in the Golan Heights, for example, we'll probably be out till 9 o'clock. Yeah. Now.
All the luggage goes in the belly of the...
Yeah, it stays in the hotel when we're resident, but then when we move, we put it underneath. Yeah.
How much spending money do you recommend?
So that's a good question. Well, first of all, you can buy whatever you buy that's nice on your credit card, okay? The lunches are usually about $10 to $15 a day, okay? Per person. But here's the thing, you can, like, I'm serious about this. We always take a piece of fruit or a piece of bread, and that can be your lunch. I mean, it's up to you. But they got falafel, and it's so good. And now one day, and I want to warn you of this because some people get a little sideways on it, but you have to have Peter's fish. So one day at the Sea of Galilee, we have a Peter's fish that looks at you. He's still got his head on, unless you request not to have the head. And it's kind of expensive. It's like maybe $20 or something like that. So just prepare you for that one day. But breakfasts and dinners are part of what you paid. That's kind of cool. Other questions? Becky.
You
Yep,
wanted to talk
get you
about
now.
team leaders.
Well, let me say it this way before we assign them. So what we're going to do, because this group is so large, what I'm going to probably do is organize you guys in smaller groups. So when we get on the bus, I can say, hey, Mary, you group here, Sharon, group here, And quickly, we do it in 10 seconds, right? One year, my mom went with me, and she had one friend who had a little bit of dementia, and we lost her in the Muslim quarter. It was terrible. She was lost for 30 minutes. And that's when I said, no more of this. My mom's not going to be in charge of the small group. Because her deal was, where is she? Where is she? So we're gonna organize. We've got 42. So maybe like 7 groups of 6, something like that. We'll figure that out, okay? So think about if you'd be willing to be one of those people just watching out for 6 people, okay? Matt?
Which is the breakfasts and the dinners, are they at the hotels?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, someone asked this. One of the fun things to do is when you come back from it all, you're so tired and all, but like some of us might want to go down to the King David Hotel in Jerusalem. You got to go to the King David Hotel. You know, that's where Moshe Dayan and his buddies blew the hotel up. Yeah, I mean, it's where all the famous dignitaries go and stay. And it's just so cool to go there, maybe have a little glass of wine, sitting out on the terrace in the back. It's unbelievable. And that's just fun to relax like that and just talk about what we saw. Here's what you're going to feel. You're going to feel like you're drinking out of a double fire hydrant. First time I went, I had 2 seminary degrees. I had a master's and a doctorate, and I felt like I was in kindergarten. Especially when people were saying, Pastor Rob, now would you explain this thing to me? Where's that in the Bible? I had no clue. I didn't know. Because I didn't read the Bible geographically. I read it spiritually. So I recommend that every day you're documenting your pick. Now, of course, your iPhones will say where you were, but as best you can, kind of identify the places. In this notebook, I would encourage you to print it out when I send it to you. It's the 36 pages. Take notes in the margins in there because you're going to see so much stuff, and you're going to be overwhelmed. So we'll debrief at night. When we go to a place, Doreen, my Jewish friend, she'll be telling you about the history of the deal. And then what I'll do is I'll share a spiritual lesson. But not every place, because you want to see stuff. You don't want to hear a sermon. You just want to hear like a little 5 minutes something, and off we go. So.
But you're a pastor.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. My guide, my tour owner, used to do Kay Arthur's groups. Kay Arthur went to the Mount of Beatitudes and preached the entire Beatitudes, an hour and a half. I mean, if I were in that group, I'd be going, you're kidding me. We're in Israel, and we're spending an hour and a half in a sermon we could do back in the United States. Let's keep going. Let's do a 5-minute one. Let's keep going. So, anyways, other questions? And then I'm going to have Julie come.
I have a question. I take a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
And so do you do anything where we all dump them into a website? Or
Yes, we'll do
share
that.
or something?
We'll do that when we get back for sure. And on a couple trips, we've designated someone to be the group photographer. John is actually going to take the video camera because we want to do some stuff with AGA kind of to let people know. I mean, listen, I would love to do this every year and take a new group of ministry leaders with us every time. That'd be the coolest thing. I just love that. And then these guys can take other people back to Israel, as their churches and groups. So it's going to be pretty cool. Yeah.
Can you drink the water? Do you have to worry about brushing your teeth with the water?
I never have worried about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like here.
Yeah. I've never worried about it. No, I don't think there's an issue.
What about the Dead Sea area? Is
Yeah.
it warm? Is it cold? You take a swimsuit?
Take your swimsuit. You have to have a swimsuit for the baptism, for one, and for sure the Dead Sea. You have to do it. You can't sink. It's crazy.
Is it warm? Is it warm?
In February, it's a little chilly, but you'll be okay. You'll be okay. I'm going in.
Should you layer?
Well, so you wear your and they have robes they provide for you. When you come out of the water, they have these big, huge white robes, yeah.
Wear a bathing suit over your bathing suit.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yes.
So obviously there's fluctuation in temperature. Are there cold spots versus, I thought you talked about a spot
Yeah.
where it's going to be very warm.
In the Dead Sea, the Jordan River Valley, it's the lowest point on the earth. So just by being low, it's going to be warmer, but not. Warmer might be 70 degrees.
Okay.
So when we go to the north, and we're up at Tel Dan, that's at the base of Mount Hermon. It's a huge mountain. I think 12,000 feet, something like that. so it's chilly up there. You know, the water's like Colorado, it's raging kind of deal. But down through here, it's a little warmer. And then in Jerusalem, especially at night, it's chilly. Yeah, it's perfect though. You'll love it.
And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, is your phone, is our iPhone okay for photos, or, you know, do we walk
yes.
around with the camera looking like a tourist?
Here's what I do. I put my phone on airplane mode.
Yeah.
Because I went to China one time and I was watching videos of the news. $1,000 phone bill. I had no idea. I was a rookie. I had no. So I put it on airplane mode. So that means when you get on the bus, the Wi-Fi kicks in, right? So, and your camera on your iPhone is perfect.
It's plenty enough.
Oh, it's perfect. It's as good of pictures as you can take.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Rob, what's the heaviest coat you should take since they're kind of bulky and it takes up space in your...
I'm a warm-natured person. I would suggest that you layer. So like what you're wearing right now, if you had even a light jacket on top of that.
So like a fleece, is the heaviest
Fleece,
one,
yeah,
you layer it under your
yeah,
fleece.
yeah,
We're the same, essentially the same latitude. The weather here is
yeah,
reflective of what we're gonna get there.
yeah, in February, yeah.
Puffer jacket.
Becky, Julie, why don't you come on up here? Yeah. Becky, go ahead.
Yeah, just one special reminder for the ladies, there's certain areas that you can't wear lace. So even though you're covered in your bodice, just, well, actually.
Where you can see through.
Totally. Right, so that's something you might want to think about if you have like a lace top or something, make sure that you have a cover up. And our host is gonna tell us each day, if we
Yeah.
finish with one day, they're gonna prepare us for the next day. So we'll know how to dress, we'll know where we're going, those types of things. So you won't have to know all of this information, you just, each day, we're gonna tell you, okay, you're gonna wanna dress warmer or cooler or whatever.
So the one place that you have to be the most modest is on the Temple Mount. And it's because they've got these Muslim guys who think they're in charge. I remember them, one of our ladies had a dress on and she had a slit on the side. I mean, it was maybe there. And he comes over and says, put this clothespin on the deal. So, I mean, if you don't have your shoulders covered as a woman,
This wouldn't be,
yeah.
this wouldn't work.
Well, I'm not saying, but
No, I'm telling you.
yeah.
We had a pastor's wife who had eyelet on.
Yeah.
It was up to her neck, and,
Yeah.
and they attacked her and me at the same time.
It's
As
weird.
They were just like, no, 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 no.
It drives me nuts. But the other thing is women, your shoulders covered. Crazy. Or else you'll have to buy a scarf from the guy who makes money. Self-created business. Huh?
Is it a pretty scarf?
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah. You want one too. All right, let me have Julie share a little bit about travel insurance, which I highly recommend.
Okay.
Thanks, and thank you for doing this.
Am I okay, John?
Talk into his mic.
Oh, yeah, I'll stand next to you.
Okay, sounds good. Am I talking loud enough? All right.
I can-
Hey, the reason that I'm here is, and I'm not having anything to do with the trip except for helping with insurance, is that the lady who's booking the tickets and who's arranging all this, Lindy, is in Israel, and they are not allowed to do any kind of insurance for Americans. And so every time Rob's done this trip, I come along and I'm kind of learning with you guys, like, how much are you covering? What do you need covered? That kind of thing. And Rob's the heart, Becky's the brains. I'm just the safety
What?
net kind of thing. Well, you're the brains too. I don't
What?
mean that way.
I'm just teasing.
So that's why I'm here, and a lot of you who think that I'm booking air and doing things, I'm not. I'm here to help to make sure that you guys are covered for the things that you don't want to happen that might happen. And my main business, my husband Renee and I do cruises. And last year, Rob and Kathy, we took a group to Greece and Israel, and we did a lot of where Paul went, where we went to Patmos, where John was. It was a wonderful, wonderful trip. We were in Jerusalem for 3 days, so you're talking about drinking water from a fire hydrant. Y'all are going to have such a better experience than we did because we were there for such a short time. But anyway, so that's why I'm involved. And you don't have to have travel insurance. You certainly, a lot of people think it's a rigged thing and you're throwing your money out the window. I had a couple that cruise with me 3 times a year, and they booked insurance every time. And a month ago, they said, we're not going to get it on this one.
Oh, no.
And on their way to the ship, they got that phone call that you don't ever want to get, and they had to turn around and come back, and they lost every penny. So it happens, and I don't believe in Murphy's Law, but it just seems
Yeah.
like it kicks in when you least expect it. So I don't work for this insurance company. It's travel insured, but they were the only ones that would do a group policy. And what that means is that I wasn't chasing you guys down the minute you put your deposit, which is what most insurance requires. Long story short, you've got some of the best coverage, and you get to pay as long as you pay before final payment. So I'm real picky about that. If you brought your check tonight and have it dated today, and you're going to call me tomorrow, I cannot sell it to you. It has to be before final payment, which is, Becky, December 3rd. I've talked to a bunch of you guys this week, and there's a lot of you that I'm going to come after because I haven't heard from you. You don't have to, but it's not just if you have to cancel. Everybody says, think about it like this. The day before somebody that you know or love gets hurt and you're like, there's no way we're getting on that plane because we can't leave them. Or you get hurt, you're in an accident and you've got a broken leg and you're like, I can't get on the plane tomorrow with everybody. All the money that you've invested in this trip is going to be lost unless you have something like this. And I can't tell you if your Aunt Mary Bell passes away, will they give you your money back? Because I don't work for them, but there's an 800 number that's easy to call and you can ask them all the questions. Suppose something happened in Israel, can we back out? All of those questions you need to call and ask. If your bags don't show up and you need to go out and buy clothes, it has coverage for a lot of this stuff. Most of all, if you get sick in the Middle East, where you're heading, your insurance may or may not cover you, and this will. And so I'll send you this link. I think I've sent it to most everybody. You just sign on with the link online. So I'm not going to be doing this tonight, but just email me if you want that link and instructions. But let me just say this for those of y'all, in case somebody in this group would get hurt or sick in Israel, or your bags don't show up and you go to the airline. If you have this insurance, you need to get original copies. If you're in a hospital, get it on the hospital letterhead. Have what the cost is. You're going to have to pay it, and then you turn it into them afterwards. If you go to American Airlines or whoever, United. And my bag didn't show up, whatever they do, have it on their letterhead, and that way it'll keep you from having to track down who you spoke to 3 weeks ago. So just think every little piece of information. Why did the doctor say you needed this exam? Have them document it. You can't have too much. And all it does is it saves you from having to go back and recreate it, because that would be a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. I wanted to say one little thing about the cell phone. I would say talk to your carrier.
Yes.
Before you embark on this trip, because there may be something about your service that's different from Verizon, that's different from AT&T. And I love the idea about airplane mode. Airplane mode, you can still say, I choose Wi-Fi. So airplane mode, you get on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And there's also some feature that's cellular, that you can do cellular through Wi-Fi. But there may be some kind of weird thing in Israel, so talk to your carrier would be my suggestion. And if anybody wants to apply for global entry, I think there may be time.
Yeah, maybe so.
Call me and ask me about it, and I'll kind of send you where you need to go. It's on my website. There's a little global entry link. So, but it is kind of pushing it. Sometimes it takes a couple months. So does anybody have any questions?
Did you talk to us about the phone charging that you told me about the AT&T?
Oh yes. When we were in Jerusalem, all of our luggage was on the ship, because when the ship brought us there, we got off and played for 3 days. And everybody left there. We didn't have European chargers because we were on the ship. And so none of us had any way to charge our phone in Jerusalem. And I had read this little nerdy article, travel agent thing, and I remembered that if you take your your, what's it called? Not
The USB.
the USB. That every television has a USB plug in the back of it. And so if you plug it in, to turn your television on, it charges your phone.
There
So
you go.
I called everybody. I was like, everybody, you can charge your phone. And so it's a slow charge, and the TV had to be on. I did discover that. But yeah, but I would just say bring a European charger, and then you don't have to worry about that because y'all are going to be there a lot longer than we were. Any other questions? Yes, Mary.
It's not a question, but I want to say a comment about the insurance. My dad went to Israel and got insurance, and the second day he was there, he fell and broke his ankle. And ambulance, CAS, all that there. But the interesting thing is, they sent a nurse from the United States to his hotel room. She did everything for him, flew him back, delivered him to his room, and just hiring the nurse without the airline and all the other stuff was $10,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he paid a couple hundred for the insurance, and he would have been out, tens
Yeah.
of thousands of dollars. So,
Yeah.
just, and that was, awesome.
Yeah, and I made like 3 or 4 copies. If somebody just wanted to look at the plan, I'm happy to give it to you on my way out. But I can send it to you online. So I think that's all. Thanks.
Well, and I just want to say I've known Julie since 1986, and she married well to her. Actually, he married well. Where's Renee? I don't know where he is. Okay.
He's over here.
And Julie, I just love that she has no vested interest except love for us. So it's just wonderful. Becky, come up. I want to tell you 2 stories as Becky's coming up. So I think it was 2 trips ago. A family lost their dad. He passed away, and halfway through our trip, they had to come back home, and insurance took care of it. One of my closest friends, Rick Relia, got sicker than a dog in Tiberias. Insurance took care of it. So it's, you don't want to use it, but it's sure great to have it. So, Becky,
All right.
what are you going to tell us about?
So we are recommending that everybody gets the WhatsApp app on
Yeah.
your phone, so
Do you have
that
that?
way we can communicate with each other through Wi-Fi on the bus or if we're traveling or whatnot. And I can walk y'all through it if you need help with that. If anybody has any questions in regards to how much is still owed, or if there's any information that I'm missing, if you want to come see me, I have my laptop. We're actually finishing a little bit early, so we can knock all that out tonight. There was a change in the hotels, so I'm going to send out an updated hotel list, but I already checked. This is the same caliber as the hotels that she had originally quoted to us, but there was issues because we had so many of us. She had to move us to a different hotel. when we were in Tiberias.
Is this one different that we have on here?
Oh, it's not on here.
Oh,
It's
okay.
probably going to be in your booklet, but it's
Oh,
not
okay,
in here right
okay.
now. So, and I also need to get everybody's emergency contact information, so we can do that tonight, or y'all can do that by email. And we are also setting up a private Facebook group, so that way we can all communicate and chit-chat, and if there's any tips or, something that you want to share with the group, we can all have some conversations and make it a little bit easier to communicate with each other before. So, and that's where this link is going to be tonight. And that's it.
And just to ask John and Becky are married to each other. John is going to be our.
He married well.
He absolutely did. He will never pay off the dowry, ever. It's a pearl of great price. So I think Becky's going to send the link
Yes.
where they could go on the Facebook. We just did it today. I can't believe it. Would have never happened if it had been up to me. So, John?
Yeah, Becky, if you pull up WhatsApp for iPhone, it says Find My Family Friends, and the other one says WhatsApp Messenger. Which one of those?
WhatsApp Messenger. Good question. Thank you.
Yeah.
What was that about Facebook?
Oh, are you on Facebook?
I don't know.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Well, that's
don't.
okay. You can still communicate with the group through the WhatsApp.
No.
No. If
I'll
you're
send.
not on
I'll send it.
Facebook-
I'll forward it to you.
Yeah, if you're not on Facebook, it's not a requirement. It's just the way for us to be able to communicate
Yeah.
with each other. And then we can also, if you take pictures while you're there, you can upload it to that. So that way
Yeah.
you'll be able to see everybody else's pictures and such. But yeah, that's definitely not a requirement.
Final payment is due
December 3rd, Monday. But book your insurance before final payment.
Can I say something without me in there?
Yeah.
A hint that we did on the cruise, which I know this is different, but we got a newspaper every day in our room on the ship. an idea, if you had a newspaper in your room, take a picture of it and it dates it and where you are. And so all your pictures after
Yeah.
that are in chronological order.
And take pictures of signs
Take-
whenever we're on the bus
Yeah.
and we're
So
going.
it's just a way to keep it like what? Because these
Yeah.
days are going to just blend together.
Oh yeah, big
Yeah.
So
time.
you can go back and be like, oh, that was on Thursday. That was on Saturday.
Robert,
Yes.
With WhatsApp, you have to have our phone number, right?
No, you download it on your phone and then we're going to connect you with the group.
But in order to communicate with me on WhatsApp,
Yes.
my phone number has to be in your Rolodex or.
Yeah, and I think I already have your cell phone number. But if not, you can give it to me before you go.
Becky, is there anybody here that you don't have their information?
I do, no, for the most part, I have everybody's. I do need to meet with the McCandlesses about the registration.
Yeah,
So-
Robert, you and
Yeah.
Gail need to see Becky, just
Yeah.
the formal registration that had all the extra things.
Yeah.
Yeah, be great.
So.
Any other questions? Yes?
Becky, do you have our phone number from our registration?
Yes.
So we should assume that you
If
have
you
it?
If
register.
it's the cell phone number, if you
Yes.
put your cell phone number on there,
Yes.
then yes, I do.
Okay.
And if not, it's not going to let me add it, but I have your email, so I can just,
If there's
if I'm missing
Yeah.
something, then I can follow up. So, but you need the app on your phone in order to be able to join the group.
Absolutely.
So,
When
Right.
we go to Brazil, I got AT&T. We
Yeah.
do the international.
You do a SIM card
Well,
Or-
no, it's an international plan,
plan? Yeah.
and so it's always worked really well. Does you get good reception with AT&T out there, or do you?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So did you hear what he said? He said when they travel to Brazil, they get the international plan. Is it $20? Is it not much? $40?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that
And
for a month. I think you do it for a month, even though we're only there, 10, 12 days, but
And you get unlimited.
Yeah.
Texting.
texting.
Texting and all that good stuff. So
That's why it changes every day. That's why I say call your
Yeah.
insurance
Yeah,
carrier.
because I just traveled and it was 50 for one
Yeah.
package.
That's right.
It keeps
Yeah, that's
changing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the best.
And
way
it
to
might
do
also be
Yeah.
more expensive in Israel too than
Yeah.
Brazil.
Getting into trouble and having 1,000.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
In China.
That's why WhatsApp all the way.
But
Any
WhatsApp-
other- yeah.
WhatsApp won't work unless you're on a Wi-Fi that runs.
Yeah, that's right.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right. Anything else for Becky? I just have to say, I sure appreciate her. She has been terrific behind the scenes. It's not one of my skill sets at all. Detail. We were just going to show up at the airport, y'all. We're just going to go. so,
And it's
so-
still it worked out okay.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit
Yeah.
would have intervened.
Yeah.
Is
okay.
it okay to take an iPad out there or no? Or just take your phone?
Uh,
Electronic?
well, here's what I do. I do take my computer
You do?
because I have so much Israel stuff on it. I've got Logos and stuff, but I leave it on the bus always. Yeah.
Backpack.
Yeah. So that's what you should take when you're walking around.
Okay.
So when will we know what our travel group is?
We're waiting for Lindy to approve it. So probably within the next couple of days, we'll know exactly who's going. You're talking about the flights, right? Yeah. So just
And
a couple
then-
more days, we'll know.
How do we get our, I assume they're electronic tickets, so are you gonna send them? How do they come?
Yeah, I would assume that she's going to send it to me, and then I'll send it directly
Okay.
to you.
One of the things that we're so we want to, well, first of all, we're real sensitive that people are together, that are coming together. So
Yeah.
that for sure, that's a deal. Becky already put a preliminary deal together. We just want to study it to be sure.
Yeah.
The second thing is this, though. Once you have your confirmation number, once Lindy buys the tickets, and then she gives you your confirmation number, some of you might want to upgrade to Economy Plus or something like that. And you can do that on your own. So, but you can't do that without your confirmation number. So,
All right.
Rob, there was a question about global entry.
Yeah.
And Becky was saying that there was something with United that doesn't
Yeah.
allow. So is that something that we can add later?
Yeah,
even?
so what she told me was that United Airlines doesn't cover it internationally, so I have to get in touch with TSA directly for global entry. So that's,
Well-
I don't have an answer on that yet.
well, here's what that means. So, when you go to Israel or you travel international, global entry doesn't work in those international airports usually. When you come back home, When you
Yeah.
come to Newark, you walk right through with Global Entry. That's what the deal is. Huh? It's the best $100 I ever spent in my life. I'm just saying.
It's just 5 years.
I think it's a couple more than that. It's like 150 now, maybe.
No, it's still a
No, I
hundred.
think it's
100? I love it. Best $100 ever.
On my website if anybody-
And some credit cards cover it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's true. Some credit cards.
yeah.
You use it here in the United States as well, and then you don't have to stand in line.
It's awesome. Pre-check TSA.
Here,
Actually,
go
yeah.
on my website and there's a link.
Did you hear this? Just so you know, if you don't have Global Entry and TSA pre-check, which is one of the best things you'll ever have in your life if you travel much, go to Julie's website, and it's
I have a whole page that's like
yeah,
every free Wi-Fi in the world.
Yeah.
It's just full of like, do I need shots to go to this immunization? So there's one that says Global Entry. You click on it, it takes you right to the
Yeah.
application form. The longest part of it, it's a lot to fill out, but the longest part of it is that 2 or 3 days later, maybe a week, depending on how back they'll say, you've been accepted. But then you have to go for an interview.
an interview.
5 minutes, but it's at like Austin Bergstrom. But Austin Bergstrom, when we did it, was so backed up, took 3 months
Yeah.
to get interviews. So we drove to San Antonio, got
Yeah.
in like 3 weeks. So that's gonna be your hang up. If
The interview.
do it tonight or tomorrow, and maybe you can get it before your trip.
What's your web?
I've got some business cards, but when I wrote y'all about insurance, everybody should have it. But it's drewandcruises.com. Or you could just Google Global Entry, and there's nothing I get from going through me. It's just to help you guys get there quicker.
And one more reminder, if your passport expires within 6 months of the date that you get back in the United States, it has to be renewed before you go on the trip. or
That's
you
so
will not be
important.
able
Did
to
you
go.
hear that?
So,
If your passport is expiring within 6 months of our trip, so what would that be? Like,
The
August,
day you get back from your trip.
yeah,
yeah, the
is
day
that
you get back.
August?
It'd be like August 12th.
So look at your passport, and if it's expiring, go get it expedited.
Yeah.
So
Yes, Mary?
if we are interested in knowing about Economy Plus or whatever, do we go through Lindy or do we go through?
No.
United?
What? Well,
She's been signing people up.
has she?
Yeah, so,
Let us be sure of that, because part of it is we've got some people come from other places that are going direct, because they're flying domestically. We'll get the answer to that for sure.
We don't need a visa to enter there, do we?
You just need your passport. Yeah. The question was, do we need a visa? No, just your passport. And again, that passport's so important. You got to have that passport. We'll ask you at the airport, did you bring your passport with you? Other questions for Becky?
Well, I heard a question here, and she alluded to it, there's no shots or immunizations.
No. Nope.
Repeat the question.
Now, the question was, do we need shots? Well, maybe this, but no, not this. You never know. Evening
Let's clarify
times.
the question.
Evening times.
priorities here.
Leah, that was for you. Okay, thanks, Beck. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Becky.
All right, thank you so much. All right. Well, so any other questions that you have about the trip? Anything come up? Any worries you have or concerns or anything?
Yeah, Rob, the insurance is based on cost of trip, right?
That's right.
So what is the cost of this trip?
So 3,000 for just Israel, 4,000 including Petra.
Good.
Yeah, per person, all inclusive.
So it's
And that's if
3,001.
if that's only if you're not doing a single supplement.
Oh yeah, the only thing that complicates it, Daniel, some people are in the room by themselves, not many, but some, and they chose to do that. They had to pay just a little extra for that.
By myself?
Yeah, there we go.
I would be
Rob, while you're in the thing,
Yeah.
also say, if y'all do upgrade to business class, economy, and it's put you over another 500 increment, we've gotta know. So just make sure you contact me.
Yeah, to get your trip covered.
Because you gotta increase the cost.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if something happens.
So just to say, let me say what's been said. If your trip increases because you've upgraded anyway, let Julie know that so she can cover you the right way. That's important. Okay, let me. I don't want to keep you guys forever. This is going to be just terrific. If tonight's an indication of the way you guys got along and just was difficult to break you free from each other, we're going to have so much fun. 10 years from now, we'll remember this. Yeah, I mean, you're just going to love it. I've often said to Kathy, she won't yet do it, but I'd love to live there. I just love being there. And she says, go by yourself there. I'll see you in 6 months. Okay, so let me do this. I want to just close us in prayer, and if we had the time, I would just love to have a prayer meeting almost, but I know you all have other things to do, and but the reason we're doing this is because we love God. I mean, we're going to go to the place where God said, I'm going to show myself to these broken people. I mean, Jesus, how far did he go? Maybe within 200 miles of where he was born. And you're going to be where he was born, where he ministered. And it's because you want, really, the reason you're going ultimately is just to know him better. And I promise you, you will know him better. You just listen when you're there. Just observe and be still and find those moments. And there's nothing like reading the book of Mark on the balcony of your hotel looking over the Sea of Galilee. It's nothing like walking on the Temple Mount, imagining Abraham taking the knife and getting ready to take out Isaac. There's nothing like standing on the southern steps and realizing Jesus walked up from the city of David on the southern steps to go up and turn over the tables and say, my Father's house is a house of prayer. There's nothing like it. It's nothing like walking down the Mount of Olives and you see Jerusalem and the Temple Mount, and you're going down and you go into Gethsemane and realize this is where Jesus prayed so significantly that his sweat was like blood. You're going to be there. And I'm just excited to share it with you. So let me close in prayer, and we'll hang around for as long as you want. And thanks so much for coming. Lord, I get so excited about this, and I'm so delighted to share this with some friends here that I've known forever, and some friends that have just I've made acquaintance tonight, Lord. And I pray, God, that you would do something in our hearts to prepare us for this time, to be there, but also in the time that we are there, to have our eyes opened and our ears opened, so that we pray the prayer that Job said to you after you revealed yourself to him at the end of his suffering. Lord, my ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you, and I repent in dust and ashes. Lord, we pray that our eyes would see you. We would just see your place and your presence in the most incredible way we've ever seen it. Would you knit this group together, help us to just enjoy the fellowship, and we thank you so much for this time together tonight. Thank you for Julie, her gift of love and serving us with the insurance, for John and Becky and their desire to just undergird this whole trip. Thank you for Kathy, who is such a great one to be with us and to lead us. Thank you that we get to do this together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.